We're live. How you doing this Monday?
Very good.
So,
A little wet.
yeah. So, we're going to talk about law number 40 from the 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, which is to despise the free lunch. And the famous saying goes, there's no such thing as a free lunch, right? Law 40. What is offered for free is dangerous. It usually involves either a trick or a hidden obligation. What has worth is worth paying for. By paying your own way, you stay clear of gratitude, guilt, and deceit. It is also often wise to pay the full price. There is no cutting corners with excellence. Be lavish with your money and keep it circulating, for generosity is a sign and a magnet for power.
Wow.
And Law 40, despise the free lunch. I couldn't agree more. And I actually had someone offer me a free lunch very recently, and I turned it down.
But you turned it down because you don't have time.
I turned it down because there were several reasons. But with the free lunch, I agree with what Robert Greene is saying. I mean, it just so happens to be that this was very recent that I turned down a free lunch, but it was that lunch was being offered to just extract information from me. And I don't think there was any sort of reciprocation or any sort of, um, an exchange, right? It was all one way. And so the free lunch came at a cost of time and just information without necessarily reciprocation.
Time, energy, effort, you call it.
Yeah,
Things that are not easily measured uh, to attach a dollar value to.
correct. So I turned it down. Off to the side. I turned it down because of those things. And, I should know better. I've accepted many free lunches and they come at a cost.
They do.
Um, where have you seen this take place? What do you think about this law?
So, you know, I'm older now. I keep telling you that because my position on these laws have changed over the years. I'm the one that would offer the free lunches and the free coffees in the beginning because I wanted to pick the brains of people that were much more successful than I was because I was beginning. And I would buy people lunches and I would buy people dinners.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not so much dinners, not because of cost, but because they were more available during the daytime. They were willing to give up their working hour daytimes more often than the dinner times because that's for family.
Mm-hmm.
And many of these people, family was top priority for them.
Yeah.
So coffees for breakfast and lunches, okay? And there were a few that I remember sitting down with that gave me just pearls and nuggets.
Yeah.
And by far, okay, they would have been better off paying for the lunch. Okay?
But where were they in their life? What stage were they? Were they at a stage that they could give back?
That's that's it. You hit the nail on the head, Mike. They were at a point where they had been so successful that they knew that I was there to pick their brains to see if I could create my own path. And that was the jury was out on me, but the jury was not out on them. They were very, very successful. I only picked people that were top in their field.
Right.
Okay. And that's
Clear your throat to the
excuse me.
side.
And that's because it was something that they could offer.
Right.
Okay. But they were willing to do it exactly for what you just said.
Like a mentor to
They
you.
were willing to give back because life has been so good to them. And several of them are still alive because we're not just talking about monetary success. These people are in top shape. They look at their health and their physique as one of the most important things in their lives. They are successful in staying in shape. They have a exercise regimen, and I'm thinking of a few right now that
Mm.
did me the honors of sitting with me because I asked them to. Hey, how do you do this? What exactly are your thoughts on this and that? you know.
I agree 100%. I've also invited people to lunch and have learned a lot from those meetings,
Right,
and I treated the lunch.
of course.
Um, One of the things that I think is really important is also when you're inviting to lunch, you got to work with the schedule of the other person. Because if for example that person their weekend is only for family, and I'm telling you, hey, let me invite you to lunch on a weekend, you're never going to get a yes. But
Right,
like you said, if you could make it work within their schedule,
right.
oh yeah, I got 30 minutes, I can't do lunch, I can do a coffee,
And
I'll take it.
I would take
I'll
exactly.
take it.
I'll take it.
So that's very important. Also, nowadays, I think, and my wife actually instilled this in me, why would this person meet with you? What do they have to gain? Because again, where are you catching the person in their life? What if this person is not ready to give back yet? And this person is on the hunt to gain something with every meeting. Uh, so it made me reframe my way of thinking is when I invite somebody to lunch, I need to provide some value to this person. And I remember asking, once I had that in my mind, I would ask them, how could I help you?
Right.
But that was a very different mentality than what can I get out of you in this lunch meeting?
Yeah. So, absolutely. I agree 100%. It depends where they are in their journey. Because I have asked recently two people that come to mind, hey, can we get together for lunch? Uh, and the reply was, uh, let me ask you, what is it that I can help you with?
Right.
You know? And
Yeah.
that right there already is saying, look, either I'm very busy, I'm not willing to sit down for lunch at this moment. I
What am I going to get out of it?
what
That's a nice way of saying,
right. How can I help you? What do you have in mind? That was the reply,
yeah. I
you
mean,
know?
there's
And
nothing wrong with that.
not at all. Not at all. You gotta remember the four was it the never take anything personal?
Right. The four
The
agreements.
four agreements. Never take anything personal. And if you do, you lose.
Yeah. And I actually um Robert Greene is 100% correct in saying that when you accept something, a gift, that free lunch, you are now indebted to the person.
It comes with a psychological price.
Yes. Even though you may not be aware.
Yeah, he's got unique way of putting things. It
Oh,
comes with a psychological price.
absolutely.
It's and look, let me share this story with you. This happened a long time ago. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning of my business career, you know, fortunately, I took off quick, you know, and that's dangerous too because you burn up all your fuel and then you start to taper off.
Plateau.
Yeah, so it's very so beware if you're hitting be take advantage of it, be grateful, don't lose sight of what reality is because it can disturb you a little bit and then you lose your footing and then you go down.
Yeah.
And by the way, that happened to me too. You know, I lost everything and it was but anyway, that's a nice. So a long time ago, this guy, he was a salesman, and I knew he was pitching me his improvement mm,
Seminar or
seminar or
product.
whatever. Okay, and he kept asking me to go to lunch and go to lunch, and something inside of me, was saying, nah, I kept postponing and postponing, but he was so persistent that one day I said yes. And I tell you, Mike, this is like 35 years ago. I've been in business 40 years. So this is like shortly after got started. So, and I told my wife because she was my business partner at that time, and I said, let's go to lunch with this guy, but my idea was let's go to lunch and get rid of him. We traveled in mutual groups and he had wine and dine. And every time we got together, he said, oh, the only one left in the last of the Mohicans is Pablo, blah, blah. Anyway, we went to lunch. It was the most miserable lunch I had in my life. and I'll tell you why. Okay? I will not go to lunch with someone that I don't like. And I know you're not supposed to take things personal and all this, but there's got to be an affinity. There's got to be a connection between you and me. There's got to be some kind of chemistry. Okay? Now, when we went to lunch, I kept the guy at a distance, but what happened was it was the most miserable lunch because throughout the lunch, it was just a pitch.
Hmm.
There was nothing personal or, a twist. It was just a full blown pitch.
Yeah.
And I remember telling my wife, if I don't feel a connection with someone, I will never I can't swallow the food.
Yeah.
I can't break bread with you
Very
if
unpleasant.
it was very unpleasant. And since then, I have never, ever, even if I think I'm giving back, because I've had a lot of breakfast and a lot of lunches
Yeah, mentoring people.
mentoring people, and people ask me for advice, and I give it gladly and freely, and I'm all down for that
But
because I feel I'm giving back.
you know what you're getting into with that meeting. You know
Right,
it's a meeting where you're giving back.
right.
This one, it reminds me of when you accept free tickets in Vegas for a show, but you got to sit for the timeshare presentation.
It's, yeah,
They're going
kind
to
of like that.
pitch you to death.
Oh, it's miserable,
Oh, I remember going to the one of those, and that was
brutal.
extremely unpleasant. I was a kid. They wouldn't let you leave. They locked the doors, it felt. You would say no, 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 and they just kept. Anyways,
I remember going to Hawaii on vacation, and then they offered a luau or something, and mom and I went, and
to,
we sat to 2.5 2 hours of brutal, and then we walked out of there, and then
did they give you?
we never even get the
Oh,
tickets
you
for
didn't
the
get the
luau.
tickets?
No, I just walked out. You had to sit through something and then come back and deny that it was a anyway, whatever it was one of
They
those
made it hard to the timeshares.
yeah, timeshares. You had to come back and sign so that you could get your tickets because they didn't have the tickets there. You had to go back in the afternoon. I said, you know what? I
Just
pay for my
pay for
own
the
luau.
luau.
Oh no, no, I pay. I paid for my own
that's
luau.
that's what Robert Greene's saying, that it comes at a cost, and I think um, initially we might be like, oh yeah, that's nice of them. That's a nice gesture. Well, they're gonna hit you with something.
Right, right.
Now, there are some people that just treat, but usually something goes in there. I really like what how Robert Greene breaks down four types of people,
Okay.
right? You have the first one being the greedy fish,
Right.
you have the second one being the bargain demon, the third one the financial sadist, and the fourth one the indiscriminate giver. And what he's saying is that in life you're going to come across these different types of characters. I like how he like broke it down and
Yeah, yeah.
defines each one. But I could think of somebody in every one of these four. At least one person that I've come across in my life that fits that profile.
Correct.
And so I like how he's like, be aware of these types of people. Um, I think this also goes hand in hand with Law 20, which is do not commit. Because when you accept the free lunch, you are now to a certain extent committing to this person knowingly or unknowingly. And the free lunch is a figure of speech, right? Because it doesn't have to necessarily, it could be a gift, it could be an outing, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
have to necessarily be like a lunch. It just so happens that, like I opened with, I was invited to a free lunch just the other day.
Right.
So it comes in many forms. Um,
And because we own an insurance agency, the bargain demon, it's every day of the week in our bookshelf.
yeah,
People call up every day because insurance has gotten very expensive, and
yep,
they're they're the same people that give you the same troubles every week or every month or every 6 months. They're the very, very same people,
yeah.
you know, and they want your blood. Some of these folks, that's why they call them the bargain demon. They just They just want and so if that's
Yeah,
why the old saying, what the old saying that 10% of your clients are going to give you
90%.
90% of your problems.
Yeah.
And if you could identify those people in the beginning, man, you save yourself so much.
I have fallen into wanting to always get a bargain. I mean, there's times where, yeah, and part of that, we've talked about like comes from maybe your background, right? You coming from Cuba, my grandma and grandpa coming from not having a lot, right? Or, you everything is scarce
Yes.
after the revolution and
So they counted every penny.
right. And so some of that it doesn't just go away when you come to the United States
No,
and it doesn't just go away once you hit the first generation, which would be us, my siblings. So some of that gets passed on.
absolutely.
But that's what you needed to do to survive. And so but in terms of power, it doesn't look good. And Robert Greene says a tight, what does he say? Something along like a tight purse. It looks really bad in certain instances, especially when you're trying to uh, make power moves. It
Sure.
doesn't look good, tight purse strings or something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
It doesn't look good when you're being cheap in certain aspects of your life, especially in negotiation. I can think of a real
Oh,
estate negotiation or any negotiation where you're nitpicking these small little things. It in the long run makes you, it hurts you.
absolutely.
So you have the greedy fish, people that are just want.
Right.
And I can think of certain instances where you would even warn us as kids, be careful, these people in this meeting act a certain way.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself for these types of individuals. And then you have the bargain demon who always second guesses their decision. Did they get the best deal? Um, and these are quotes from Robert Greene. Unless you resist them, they will even infect you
Sure.
because they'll make you start second guessing. And I think one thing that you've taught me is the power of relationships. You're not always going to get necessarily the best bargain, the best deal, but you're going to have somebody that's reliable when you need them.
Absolutely.
And that comes at a cost. You pay a little bit more for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But if every time you get a bid, you're hacking that guy to death, we see it in construction and we see it in rehabs and whatever, in anything. It could be in insurance quotes. It could
Oh,
be you're hacking that person down. They're not going to want to work with you.
no,
And
no.
that's what
You're biting the hands that feeds you to some extent. Especially in trades. You
yeah,
know, like we're gonna have an appointment later on today, and we have contacted a company that's reliable and has a good reputation,
yeah,
and so that comes with the price. They're gonna be there at the time they tell you,
yeah,
which is a big deal for me because everybody's life is on a schedule, you know, and people that cancel on you on the same day, like let's say the appointment's at 11 in the morning and they're calling you at 10:08, listen, I can't make it. Every now and then there's a good justifiable reason, okay? And you can't take things personal like the four agreements say. But it doesn't look good. You do it a second time and that's not good.
sometimes you don't even get a second time.
Sometimes you don't get a second time.
Even
Like
if it was a real justifiable reason. This person didn't come, moving on.
like that person that we went to the marketing event, I gave him a business card. He says, I'll call you within an hour or two, something like that, remember?
Yeah,
And we gauged it. We would he call? No, he didn't call. The day went by and now it's been 3 months. He never called.
yeah.
Okay. But he said he would.
That's the problem. If you, I mean, we throw words out so loosely,
Right.
but for people that actually
Right.
take you by your word, because that used to be a thing. Deals used to be, you've done deals by
Oh
handshake.
yeah. And then we've signed contracts, which is not common.
It used to be the way
Yeah.
because people's word meant something.
Right.
Now, oh yeah, I'll call you. Oh yeah, I'll do this. It never happens.
Right.
There are very few people that actually come through. You have the financial sadist. They feel that they own you.
That's right.
because they're hiring you.
That's right.
And I can think of one person, and Robert Greene actually says this. It's the person that says, the check's on its way. I had at one point in my life somebody that I had to chase down for every check. And it was one of the worst feelings because I'm I did a sale. I did the work. I did, you know, I worked hard for that commission and now I'm chasing you to get my check. And it was a really horrible feeling, very unpleasant. And it was always in the mail. And then it would get lost or this or that. And
Unpleasant.
oof,
You know that you need to get yourself out of that situation, like
that's what Robert Greene
pronto.
says. Cut your losses.
Yeah, yeah. It's
And
best.
and I went a long time without cutting my losses. I think it was
Well,
a couple
because
years.
you were dependent, and also there are many aspects, but yeah, that was unpleasant, but you were also learning. You were on your learning curve.
Yeah. Yeah, but and say this would mean that they're doing it intentionally.
Right.
Um, I believe they were stringing me along because I really thought about it for this podcast. Was it intentional or were they just unorganized or were they just, it was intentional. This person was just stringing me along. Uh, and I mean, I'm talking about they would get the commission first and they would have to pay me. And I'm talking weeks would go by after they would get the commission before I would
Oh,
get my
that's
check.
horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, just a quick
that's the
little note.
financial sadist.
Yeah, before I got involved in business, in the
Yeah.
business world, real estate, insurance, all this stuff that we're in now, I was in the medical field for some time, and I would work for this gentleman, and every Friday when he gave me the paycheck, he said, "Thank you very much." We shake hands. He would look at me and say, "Run to the bank." It was a very horrible feeling.
Was it a joke?
No, no, he had a bunch of people coming in that he owed money, and money there was only
That's horrible.
he would give me the check. I have never forgotten that. And he was a good guy, extremely disorganized.
Yeah.
Um, he was a medical doctor, and not putting down medical doctors in any way or form, but
Hmm.
they're not sometimes the best organized because they have so much going on with the patients and the workflow and all this kind of stuff. And it was during a time when the HMOs were coming in strong, and they were changing the medical field, the land field. And so, but
Insurance.
I remember I would come in, do my job, and towards the middle of the, because he was taking care of me.
Yeah.
He didn't give me the check at the end of the day. He gave it to me around lunchtime. He says, "Hey, thank you very much. Run to the bank."
So maybe he wasn't the sadist, the financial sadist,
Yeah.
but he was very, but still, I mean, he put you through stress.
Oh, it was a lot of
Did you
stress.
ever, did a check ever bounce from him?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
yeah, twice.
Because I know you've told me about people who have paid you rent and the check bounces. And
Yeah,
some of them you never got that money.
yeah. It's it goes with the territory,
Yeah.
And you know, one of the most important things that I've learned over my lifetime is that when you are in a position of power, okay, and someone that you're dealing with is weaker, okay, your true colors and your character shows when you don't destroy that particular person and you take every sense of dignity that they might have. Because things can switch around rather quickly in this life,
Yeah.
okay? And you might find yourself in that position. So if you put yourself in the shoes of the person that, I'm talking about a genuine person, I'm not talking about somebody trying to take advantage of you,
Right.
okay? Then your true colors and your character comes up. And it's a great feeling to be able to know, hey, I know you're down on your luck now. This is what I need to give you. You worked hard for this. Here it is. But you don't string that person along. You don't,
Right.
you know, mess with that person. You don't suck their blood. And that is very much appreciated. And I'm sure that that person will remember you in your lifetime, in their lifetime, excuse me.
Absolutely. You just reminded me of somebody who was a financial sadist that we encountered not that long ago, earlier
Okay.
this year, and we um, we already knew this person was rough.
Early this year? Because we just
Uh,
started the year.
I'm sorry, last year, last year.
Okay.
Yeah, we already knew this person was a eh, unique individual, and Robert Greene calls them misers.
Okay.
But this person hired somebody to do a job and then wouldn't pay them. And we met the individual that he hired. It seemed like a very nice man, immigrant, and he was being taken advantage of by this individual.
I can't think of the person right now.
This guy was just beating him down to his prices to I mean, this was an older man, and he was just beating down this individual who, didn't speak much English. He or I don't know if he spoke any English, an immigrant and just hardworking individual was being taken advantage. And that gentleman, the older man that was taking advantage of this individual, um, had money. Didn't need to do that. Didn't need to do that to this individual.
When the podcast is over, you're going to have to tell me who that is.
Maybe,
I can't place them.
but
Last year, right?
why do they do that? Why does the financial sadist do that? It's because, and this is what
They
Robert
find
Greene,
pleasure
they
in
find
hurting
pleasure.
other
They
people.
find pleasure in it, and that's the thing. The Robert Greene talks about the Duchess of Marlborough,
Yeah.
who nitpicked that architect to the point of Van Burrow, to the point of um, it, he lost years of life
Oh,
by taking that job from the Duchess
for sure.
and the Duke, and because of her, he didn't even get to enjoy to see what he had built. It was called the Palace of
Yeah.
Blenheim Palace, I think in England.
Right.
So
Yeah, he died.
he
He
died,
died. He was never able to live
set
not
foot.
one night in
So that's the thing. You have to. That's what I think Robert Greene is saying. Like, be aware of these people.
stay away from them.
Run the other way if you
Run the
see
other way as
somebody
fast
like.
as you can.
Yeah,
In fact, that particular job, because she was the way she was, that palette should have been done in 10 years and it took 20.
yeah,
It took twice as long because of her nitpicking.
right.
And just this weekend, you weren't there, but I went to get an estimate on a quote for ironwork.
Yeah,
And the gentleman that's giving me the quote said, "Hey, I talked to the buddy you referred." And I said, "Oh, yeah, how'd it go with that?" And he says, "Not good." I gave him the estimate, and then he came back and said something about somebody that had done a previous job and had done a real bad job. When I went to see it, the only thing that was wrong with it was dirty. You just needed a special type of
oh, coding or something.
coating or something. And he said, but you know what?
You're covering the
He was
mic.
so adamant about it that I told him, I'm busy.
Mm,
I'm not going to be able to do this job in this time frame that you want.
yeah,
And he said, I'm just sharing this with you because I didn't do his job. And I said, no, no. Hey, all right.
yeah,
No problem. But to me, um, it was eye opening
yeah,
because he chose not to do the job. And that's a tradesman. And when you don't do the job, you don't put money in your pocket.
yeah. But he is smart enough to realize and experience probably
He
to
is.
realize that hey, that it's better to pass on that because that's another Duchess of Marlborough.
Yeah.
Um,
And that just happened this weekend. We were getting an iron quote.
that is a very interesting thing he brings up. I think he's actually very smart. I think that we sometimes, for the desire to make money, because any person of trade is a commissioned person. They work off of commission. They do a job and then they get paid, right? It's not You're not on a salary. So anybody who's tied to some sort of service for commission or whatever manufacturing for commission for money, sometimes you get blinded by the job and the size of the job and the money you're going to make. And he was able to say, based on the experience and how they spoke bad about a previous person, and sometimes we don't listen to those things because we want to get the job. But if you listen to people who
Oh,
talk
yeah.
bad about other people, it's a sign that I mean, maybe some of it is merited, but sometimes it's not. Like, why are they talking so bad about that job? That wasn't a bad job.
Yeah, yeah.
You're
I
gonna
said,
walk into a problem there.
yeah. You know, I'm on the internet, I'm on social media way too much for my own good. I know it. But I see a lot of uh, contractors that have done the sheetrock and this and that come back with a hammer and destroy it. I don't know if you've seen those videos on the internet because the person that hired them did not pay them.
Jeez.
I seen taking down bathrooms.
Can't you take put a lien on it? The house?
You know, they didn't pay him, so they got a hammer
No,
to all
that's
the
horrible.
tile work, which was
I'm joking.
beautiful.
That's a
I
horrible.
don't know. And I've even seen it where they dropped the cement, a beautiful entrance to a garage, you know, and they come in with
Jackhammers and stuff?
sledgehammer and
Sledgehammers?
bah, and then, you know, they didn't pay me this and that, you know, and it's on videotape. Maybe you'll see some of it because you know it's like the red car theory. Now that we talk about a red car, you're gonna see a bunch of red cars on the street.
Or the phone listens to and it gives us what we're
Oh, the
talking
phone
about.
listens to us, and the phone definitely listens to us. Those young,
That's
but
an
I've seen
interesting.
that. I've seen that. They come in with sledgehammers. They could
Yeah, they didn't
destroy
get
the
paid.
cement, destroy tile work in a bathroom that's beautiful, destroy the sheetrock, destroy
Yeah.
because they haven't gotten paid.
I can't judge that. Wrongs don't make a right, they
No,
say, but I can't judge that.
right?
That's horrible.
It is horrible.
Yeah, you want to get paid for your work. The last one, the last of the four is the indiscriminate giver. And I'm thinking, what makes you special when they give to everybody? And the reason that they give to everybody at the end of the day is for attention. They want to be loved by all. That's what Robert Greene says. So the indiscriminate giver is just give, 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 and for attention. Because by giving to everybody, you're loved by everybody. So when they give to you, just be aware it does come at a cost also. They're expecting your love, and they do that with everyone. Um, I really like what Robert Greene talks about when he says strategic generosity.
Yeah,
I think that's very interesting because one of my mentors um, in the insurance industry took me around. I have much respect for this gentleman. He took me around.
you have a lot of respect for
Oh,
this.
yeah.
Yes.
He took me around during Christmas to give gifts to all of the people in the underwriting department and their contacts outside of people that would refer him business and people that he wanted to maintain that relationship. And he used to Christmas time to the gift of, that everybody's giving mood and happy to see you and everything. And he would give to these people strategically because these people helped him grow his business.
Sure.
But it
How many
was
people do that though?
how many people do that? It was strategic generosity. I think it came from a genuine place. As a matter of fact, I know it came from a
Of
genuine
course, I
place.
know who you're talking about.
He's a very good man. But I learned
Absolutely.
from him, and I began to do that on Christmas.
I remember.
And I would make a gift basket, and when I had the ladies helping me, I would buy all the stuff.
Your staff.
The staff,
Yeah, the staff.
I would have buy all the stuff, the baskets, everything, and I would say, "Hey, make some baskets." And I ended up giving eventually because I was working with several offices. I remember giving 9 baskets or
I would help you too.
to each
Remember?
office. Yeah, yeah, you would. You even helped me deliver a few. But that
Right. That
basket,
was fun.
it was fun, and you're coming in with something. Nobody is coming in with a gift like that. It is strategic because they were referral partners and they were sending me business, and they were that translated to money in my pocket. But most people didn't take the time to give something back.
Right. Most people.
Most people.
There's
But
still a few out there that would.
I learned that from our good friend. I learned that from our good friend that um, Christmas time is a great time to do these things, and you nurture relationships.
That's right.
And that's one thing you've also taught me because you have relationships that go back
40
40
years.
years,
Yeah.
50 years.
Right.
If you see somebody that doesn't have relationships, that go back a couple years. Why is that?
Well, if you remember a gentleman named Mike, he was watching us all the time
Yeah, yeah,
because he says, "Wow, I never done it this way or I never done it that way."
yeah.
Um, and you learn it over the years
Mm-hmm.
because you become a marketing machine, right? And because you realize that to a certain extent, the success of your business, to a great extent, comes from the relationships that you build, that people think of you when something happens. Oh, call Pablo, call Mike.
Yeah,
You want to sell your house, your real estate. They're in real estate.
yeah.
They'll give you good advice, and they'll take good care of you.
As a matter of fact, yesterday I was asked that question. How could I repay you?
Oh,
Because I was helping this person. We were helping this person
oh yeah,
and
yeah.
find a place to live. And they were so grateful and appreciative that they texted me that. How could I repay you? And so I told them just that, you know,
If you know
um,
anybody that's
we're
selling a
here.
house,
We're here to help, and we'll help everybody take care of them.
what a
So
great feeling, no? That you
it is. It's a genuine thing. Now, you
because you help find a place for these people
that are being displaced,
that are right,
right?
a home. You're finding them a home.
A home, yeah. So that meant a lot to them.
Yeah,
And so, shoot, if I can help you and you're appreciative and you want to help me back, that's great.
that's how it works, right?
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Now, I did want to bring up I invited an extremely successful person to lunch and I treated. You came with me. It was in Vegas.
Oh,
So we drove three and a
see, I
half,
can
four
remember that.
hours.
I can't remember the other guy, but
We drove 3.5, 4 hours to meet this gentleman. I was gonna go anyways, and you say, "Hey, I'll carpool with you."
sure.
I said, "Sure." So we go. I meet with this gentleman, which I very much respect, and was the number one person in the company that I was working with
Yeah.
for financial
Oof.
services. And so I called him up and I was able to meet with him because it was at the time of the pandemic. And so everything had been shut down and he had free time finally. And he knew that I was going to pick his brain because I called the number one person and I had some doubts where the company was headed and whatnot,
Right,
and
right.
in terms of the financial industry that I was in, and so I wanted to ask him, and so I picked his brain. But at the end of it, and I didn't realize this, there was also a reason he wanted to meet with me, and that was
But you didn't
because
know that.
I didn't know that
Right.
when I invited, but you never know. So I thought I'm going to pick somebody's brain that's doing extremely well. And then in that conversation, it turned into, um, do you want to buy my business? He asked me. And I'll never forget because that was an extremely impactful, it threw me off for sure. I was, how is this person selling their business when they're extremely successful?
And the number one in the company.
Company the year before. Why would they sell me their business? And he offered that. And
Maybe they
I
didn't like in the direction that the company was headed either.
that was to me that was the ice that was the validation that I needed. Hey, I need to get out of this situation. Because even the number one guy is trying to get out. But I respect the guy a lot, and when we go to Vegas again, I would love to get together with him because he made a big impact in my life. Because of him, I decided to make a career change. Not fully because of him, but he was a big part of that.
No doubt.
But it goes to show you that at the end of the day, he still, there was a reason why he wanted to meet with me because he potentially saw a way out of his situation
What is it? Strategic generosity?
both ways. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think if with lunch meetings, I think we should ask ourselves, like, if I'm going to invite you to lunch, I have the privilege of going to lunch with you all the time. But if I'm going to invite someone like you to lunch,
So don't take it for granted.
no. What can I give of value to you? Maybe it's you want to give back, but maybe there's something else that I can give you business too. And I think we don't, us young guys don't ask ourselves that question enough. Why would this person meet with me? What can I bring of value? One person that I asked to meet with was Patrick Bet David, and he replied back to me. And he said, "Hey, this and that. Yeah, I remember you and your dad and everything because we met him
Uh-huh.
and we've seen him grow. We were following him when he had less than 50,000 subscribers and he was using that red pillow."
Oh, less than 1,000. I remember him when he was trying to get to 1,000
That,
subscribers
yeah,
because I became
you introduced me to Patrick Bet David.
correct. And he's transitioned like everybody. Like we're
Sure.
changing with this podcast. We're changing, you
Yeah.
and I.
Yeah.
The preparation that it takes to do it is transforming us. We're not the same people that we were a year ago when we started this podcast.
Right.
And Patrick is not the same either.
Of course.
And I'm not talking about the millions of dollars that he has now in his bank account. I'm talking about the person that he has become through this journey. Okay? Because he has changed a lot. He's become more political now than he ever was in the past. When he was trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, I remember him breaking down what a business plan is. But I mean, just strictly business, great
Content.
ideas, content.
Yeah, it was all business content.
Content,
And that's
yeah,
why you introduced me to him because he's in the insurance industry, life insurance specifically,
right.
which I was selling life insurance. And so it was like right down
And at one point, I even thought you and I could join him,
correct.
you know?
Yeah, we did. We did. And,
Yeah,
and we met with him and he was super cool.
he's cool,
And he
very cool.
and he reminds me a lot of you. You remind me a lot of him. He reminds me of you because of he's an immigrant who came here at a younger age, found his way through business and
He struggled.
struggled.
There's a story that he talks about where he didn't have enough money to buy two In-N-Outs. He had to buy one In-N-Out, and I think he split it with somebody
Oh wow.
in the car. And he cried because his dad had uh,
A heart attack.
yeah, and he was in the hospital.
Yeah.
So you're talking about a guy that didn't have enough money to buy one In-N-Out, two In-N-Outs, you know? And then now, that's the beauty of this country,
Yeah.
Mike, that
Yeah.
you can come here. A lot of people say, don't work hard, work smart. Well, I'll tell you what, absolutely, work smart. But until you gain that level of appreciation for what smart is, you got to start working hard.
Yeah.
It's what's going to set you aside from other people. I mean, I just saw a video on the internet of two roofers, one from Mexico and the other one is from, I want to say, Nicaragua. And you know what they're doing? They're on top of the ridge of the house that sets the roof line, and they're standing up there with one foot on each side, and they're holding up a construction material, one of the bags with shingles.
Hmm.
That thing's got to weigh like 40 pounds. And they're doing it, and it's Mexico against Nicaragua to see who can hold it the longest. Okay? And they're playing around like that, but they're extremely hard-working people.
Yeah.
And that gets noticed.
Sure. Sure.
By the way, the Mexican one was a little stronger than the Nicaraguan. He gave it up, but they were up, they were there. I wouldn't.
so so going back to Bet David,
Yeah,
I
I have a great deal of respect for him, you
yes,
know.
and I understand though in inviting him to the free lunch, quote unquote, right? It's premature. What can I provide of value? So it makes me think like we'd love to have him right one day on the podcast.
Oh
We'd
God,
love to connect with him again, and I think we
we'll
will
go,
one day.
we'll grow by
I think we will
leaps
one
and
day.
bounds if he ever.
Yeah, but what can we provide of value? And that's
Right.
the thing that I think younger people need to ask themselves. And that's one thing I ask myself now.
And I'll share with everybody out there that's young and trying to start a business and trying to get ahead in this life. Don't be afraid to go to the Patrick's Bet Davids. Go for it. Ask. Because the good book says, if you ask, you shall receive.
Yeah.
And you may catch them at a point in their life where they're willing to give back.
Yeah.
And they know that by sitting with you, it's going to propel you into the stratosphere or another area.
Yep.
And they might just do it. They might just do it,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
There's no harm in asking.
No, there's no harm in asking. The harm is where you think, oh, let me ask that. No, he's not gonna do that.
You
They
stop
won't,
yourself.
and you stop yourself.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna have to live with that regret for the rest of your life.
Yep. Yep.
So
Ask away.
ask away. Go for it.
Robert Greene does it again.
Yeah.
Despise the free lunch.
And folks, check out our shorts, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah. The channel's
growing and
growing. We're almost
channel's
at a
growing.
thousand subscribers,
Yeah,
which is really exciting.
yeah.
And so anyone that likes it, comments, subscribes, that
Subscribe,
helps us a lot.
share it, pass it to your family if you find value in some of the things that we're discussing.
Yeah.
Okay. And thank you for everything.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for all the comments. A lot of very nice comments.
Absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.